to bet on how much hate I'm gonna get for this video. Though, granted, I think over the years the hatred for this has died down a lot because it's gotten so popular, or at least it had been until Activision ended it. But this video is going to be why I defend Skylanders. Now, I'm going to throw a couple disclaimers out first and foremost, because I know so many people are going to mention it, or accuse me of it if I do not do it. First off, do I think Skylanders is flawless and perfect? No, I do not. Do I think Skylanders did nothing wrong? Hell no. And do I think Skylanders was a good replacement for the Legend of Spyro trilogy? Hell no. To this day, I will admit, I feel a tiny bit of resentment because after falling in love with Dawn of the Dragon as a kid, that's what was next. That is what they showed us next. Christ on a bike. And I also want to preface this by saying, when I was a kid, I think I was 11 at the time because, I will correct myself with on-screen text if I'm wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure the original Skylanders game came out in 2011, and so I was 11 years old. And I was the prime demographic that they were aiming for with those games. Maybe they were aiming a little bit younger, but I think they were mainly looking for tweens. But I hated the game. I didn't want to give it a single chance. I was on the side of all the hardcore haters who didn't want to give it a chance and would refuse to spend the money on it. I was so angry as a kid because of it. But I gave it a chance because a family member got the game for me. So I played the game. And I loved it. Now, the first game has aged absolutely horribly, and I acknowledge that. I agree completely. But like I said, I will defend Skylanders to the end of the earth because I do not think it is irredeemable. I am able to look past the various flaws it has, that I will completely acknowledge that they exist, because they do. They overpriced on Skylanders, they made far too many Skylanders, and they did, the biggest issue for me was that they structured every new game so that if you wanted to 100% it, you had to go and buy at least one of every new kind of Skylanders they made for the new game, and that I will never forgive. And no, I did not fall into that. And they seriously released these games in a terrible way. Plus, also, as I will get into, two of the games in the series royally piss me off. But I love the games because they are fun, they are simple, they are a fun little escape. Because I personally, this is my opinion, and keep in mind this whole video is my opinion, so if you guys want to go all keyboard warrior in the comments, telling me about how I'm wrong and your opinion is right, well, then it's not your opinion, you're being a jackass. An opinion is something someone personally feels about a given subject. Everyone will have a different opinion, and I know that so many people still hate Skylanders, and I'm not trying to force people to think different. If you don't like Skylanders, that's fine. I don't care. I don't care if people don't like FNAF. I don't care if people don't like Pokemon. I don't care if people don't like Spyro at all. I don't care if people don't like Undertale. Everyone is going to like different things, and that is okay. I am friends with people who hate FNAF. One of my best friends actually hates FNAF, and has literally told me she doesn't want to ever talk about it. That's okay. I have tons of friends who don't like the same things I do. Hell, I have friends who don't like My Little Pony. So? If someone likes something different from you, it's not a tragedy. And so many people online fail to understand this. But getting those out of the way, this is all my opinion. If you do not agree with me, it's okay. And don't ever think, I'm also putting this out here for those who are a little more sensitive. If you hate Skylanders, I don't hate you. So I don't want you to watch this video and ever think that you can't talk to me because you don't like Skylanders and you're worried I will be mad at you. Because I won't. In fact, you know what I would do? I will ask you why. Because I will be genuinely curious. Why don't you like Skylanders? And you can answer me honestly. It's okay. Like, seriously, in the comments, I actually would like a mature conversation between people who like Skylanders and those who don't. And maybe both sides can get some new perspective on this. Because I've wanted to make this video for a long time, because I want people to try and understand why people like Skylanders. Because I've literally had people online ask me, how can people like this? And this is my answer. Skylanders, when they try, emphasis on when they try, is creative, is fun, and is entertaining. The characters are entertaining. The writing can be very entertaining, again, when they try. The character designs for the Skylanders are really cool, and their powers are fairly well thought out most of the time. To this day, the only Skylander whose powers don't make sense to me are Cinders, because where the hell did the lightning come from? But it's okay. I got used to it. And honestly, it looks cool. Because I'm sorry, you can't put the words spectral and lightning together and not have that be cool. But, and to get used to me saying but, because I'm going to say that a lot in this video, because it's the only way I know how to segue between thoughts. The games are not worth writing off because of how it started. The games have flaws, but everything does. Sonic has flaws. Pokemon has flaws. And believe me, I plan on making another video talking about my thoughts on Sword and Shield, because I've had people asking why I've been so silent about this. I will probably do that after I make this video. But, just, everything has flaws, guys. You should never let a flaw or two, or even 6, ruin something for you. You shouldn't let a fandom ruin the subject matter. You shouldn't let some flaws by a game company ruin the game, because at least one person who worked on the game that you're hating put their heart and soul into it. Maybe not the entire team did, but someone did. Someone cared. And someone cared about Skylanders, at least for a while, because the games are not terrible. The first game, despite it aging about as well as you think it does, I mean, look at it, it's still fun. I still enjoy playing through it every once in a while. The characters are fun to upgrade, and the treasure is fun to collect, and it's fun to go through the gates and collect all the legendary treasures and the sapphires and all of it. Skylanders Giants, I can't offer an opinion because I have not beat it. I will explain why later. Skylanders Swap Force, my favorite game of the series. I love it. There's so many modes to it that you can do. There's so much content. The story is really good. I love the story very much. The characters are amazing. I mean, to this day, Tessa is one of my favorite Skylanders characters. And I seriously enjoyed Swap Force the most. It will always be my favorite. Trap Team, my second favorite. Again, the story was amazing. The final boss of Trap Team is hands down one of my favorite in gaming history, and believe me, that's coming from someone who also has Primal Dialga and Yami from Okami on that list. And unfortunately, the last 2 games in the series are complete shit, and I hate them. That's because I am human, just like the rest of you. But the games have good things in them, and I want people to at least give them a chance instead of just throwing them out the window because it's Skylanders. Now, technically, I am a little hypocritical on this because there are games where, because they've been basically flagged as being cringy, I haven't touched them, those being Overwatch and Fortnite, but that's not the main reason. It's one of the reasons, but it's not the main one. The main reason I haven't touched Fortnite, even though I have a Switch, I'm just not into it. It's not my thing. Do I hate people who have the game? Hell no, my cousin plays Fortnite. I watched him play it one day. And it looked a little interesting, but it's not my thing. I'll stick with Splatoon 2 and Smash Ultimate, thank you. But I don't hate my cousin for playing it, because he's just a regular kid who happens to like the game. And I don't have a problem with it. I mean, there are people who play... What's another example? Team Fortress 2. I have friends who play TF2. I mean, I don't know if the friend I'm thinking of still plays it, but I had a friend who has 2 brothers, and she and them would play TF2 all the time. And I think it's a cool game, and I think it's a really creative thing that Valve did, but I don't play it. It's not my thing. So I need people to understand that just because I wasn't willing to give a game a chance doesn't mean I hate it. I didn't not play these games out of spite or hatred, I'm just not interested. And that's the difference. I'm not saying that everyone needs to give Skylanders a try even if you don't care for it. That's not what I mean. My point here is, please don't disregard Skylanders just out of hatred or spite, because that's really a sad way to live in any way at all. Like, if that's your opinion on something, that's kind of sad. Like, are you really that hateful of a person that you're just gonna hate something on concept alone? Now, I'm going to talk about some negative things about Skylanders, because, as I said, I do not believe this series is perfect, and I'm going to share a few stories of my own so you can understand why I believe it is also not perfect. And this is coming from someone who will defend it. First of all, Skylanders Giants. It was released with a bug where if you had earlier copies of the Xbox 360 console, it would not work. The game would error upon trying to load it, and the console would never be able to load it. I actually got it to work twice, and then it never worked again, so I never got to actually play through the game and beat it because the only console that it was released on at the time that I had was the 360. I didn't own a PlayStation, and I forget if it came out on the DS or not. I think it did. Like, I think it came out on the 3DS, like, because the first game did. But the Skylanders games on the DS were not very good at all. Trust me, I played through the first game on the 3DS. It was addicting, but it was also hard and stupid, and I couldn't figure out how to make it work. And I don't think I ever actually beat it because it was too hard. But, so yeah. Problem number one, Skylanders Giants was a mess, and as far as I know, Activision never patched it and never fixed it, because I guess they couldn't for some reason. That was the best explanation I could find. Again, if this has been proven wrong, go ahead and tell me in the comments. Again, I'm perfectly open to people telling me things I'm not aware of. And then the other two things, Skylanders, Superchargers, and Imaginators. I hate them. Superchargers is the worst, because the entire point of Skylanders that I liked was how it was so creative in a fantasy setting while still making it feel modern with Skylands. I almost called it Skyworld for a second because I've had Kid Icarus Uprising on the brain. My favorite game of all time. But introducing vehicles like cars and making it a mandatory part of the gameplay, far too often, mind you, it literally ruined the entire concept of the game for me, and I was pissed. Plus, I'm sorry, really? They literally threw Crash Bandicoot and Donkey Kong into the games for what reason exactly? Because I'm not even kidding, when I saw that they were going to have Donkey Kong in one of the games, literally my reaction, because keep in mind, visualize this, I was sitting on my bed, watching this trailer on my phone, and when I saw that, I literally threw my phone down and just started laughing uncontrollably with my face in my hands, and just started laughing and saying, oh no. It was funny. It was not cool, it was not fun, it was just funny because it was so sad. I mean, the Crash Bandicoot thing was not as bad because, I did laugh at that too, but at the time I actually didn't even know who Crash Bandicoot was until like 3 years ago. So I didn't know that, like, he and Spyro had, like, a history. So, in hindsight, it makes sense now. But they were shoehorned in for, like, almost no reason other than, I guess, they thought it would help sell the game. Which I don't even know if it actually did or not. But, just, it was so sad to watch. And keep in mind, I watched this right after I saw the trailer for Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, so I was already kind of amused. Although, thankfully, the DS games of Sonic Boom were not so bad. But Superchargers literally ruined the series for me because the driving literally defeated the purpose of the entire freaking game. Now, my beef with Imaginators is not the OC mechanic, because I think it's awesome. I love it when you can basically make your own character and play through the game of it. Hence why Sonic Forces is my favorite Sonic game, and yes, I'm expecting hate for that too. Bring it the hell on. I also don't mind Sonic Boom either, but yeah, again, bring on the hate, I don't care. I have unpopular opinions, so be it. But my problem with Imaginators is the plot is so dry, the characters are not interesting, which is ironic considering they frickin' finally gave Spyro some, actual spotlight. But the plot was boring, the characters were boring, and because I just played as my Imaginator, your Imaginator moves so slowly, and they control so badly because of this, because trying to jump with my Skylander, about 45% of the time, I would miss the platform. And then I'd have to slowly walk around, jump back on the platform, and then try the jump again. It got really tedious after I had to do that for the 10th time, in the same level. And the levels were also painfully short, and while there were, again, there's good things about Imaginators. I thought if Imaginators, like, wasn't so slow and so dry, it would have been a great Skylanders game, and honestly, I was excited for it. But it just fell so flat, and it was the last game that they made, so it was kind of a bittersweet end. But that's really all the beef I have. That's all the beef I have with the series. The last two games were crap, and they went a little too money-happy. And, well, another reason why Imaginators was terrible, I found out near the end of the game that they put freaking microtransactions in, making the freaking chests that you can get basically loot boxes. And I literally, sitting in my chair, Wii U controller in hand, because yes, I did buy it for the Wii U, go ahead and laugh. My Wii U gamepad, I just put it down on the chair next to me, and just face-palmed, and was like, are you kidding me? You put microtransactions in Skylanders. Really? I really wonder how many people bought into that. I hope to God very few. Because, I mean, look what they did to the new Crash Racing game. But that's it. Now I'm going to talk about the good things about Skylanders. Like I said, I love the characters. I love most of the Skylanders because I think they're cool as frick looking, even if they did rip off Splatoon with one of them. My special shout out going to Spotlight, Blackout, Echo, Cinder, Scratch, and Whirlwind. I mean, there's so many that I like that I could be here all day. I mean, Nightmare was cool as frick. And I did like, too, that they also introduced two new elements in Trap Team, which were the dark and light elements. That was really cool. Also, Flashwing is awesome, too, and voiced by Tara Strong. Yeah, I can never unsee that now, because now we got Twilight Sparkle, we got Flashwing, and we got all sorts of other characters that just look really similar, and I can't unhear it. I mean, for God's sake, I found out recently in Them's Fightin' Herds that she voices Arizona, and I'm sorry, it was really funny hearing Tara Strong doing a southern accent like that. But anyway, yeah, that was a kind of a cool thing. I found out that she voices Flashwing. I don't know for sure if she voices Flashwing in the cartoon or not. I've been meaning to research that. But I love a lot of the Skylanders. Pretty much all the dragon characters looked really, really cool. And they're like different kinds of dragons too. They're not just like generic looking dragons like, say, Spyro or Cinder. Blackout like has these friggin' whip wings, and he's like a black with like a shadow covering him. Spotlight looks like a frickin' robot, and it's cool as hell. We got Echo, who's like a siren seahorse. We got Whirlwind, who's a hybrid of a unicorn and a dragon. That was actually something cool I thought was interesting too, that a lot of the dragon characters in the first game were like hybrids, like how Sunburn was, I think, a hybrid of a dragon and a phoenix, which is like the coolest hybrid combination ever. But yeah, it's like, I really like the character designs. The names were punerific, just like most Pokemon are. And their powers were unique and interesting, and they're always so much fun to upgrade and see what they can do, and I never had a problem with it. And I really loved them. The gameplay never got really that old for me because I enjoyed it. They usually, in every new game, offered something new to make the gameplay that would normally be repetitive between games a little more fun to play. Like, they added more stuff to collect, or more things to customize, or more things to unlock. Every game had something good in it. Hell, I would even say Superchargers had something good in it because there was so much you could do. Even though I still think the games are shit, that doesn't mean there wasn't something good in it. So, I want people to understand, I do not hate the games at all, and I think they are worth playing. And now, the biggest point I'm going to tackle here, the cartoon. Oh my dear God, the cartoon. Since I found out as a kid that Dawn of the Dragon was originally going to be a canceled Spyro movie. I wanted media of the Spyro series for years. And when I found out that Skylanders was getting a cartoon made by Netflix, holy mother of God, I was excited, and I was not disappointed. I actually didn't hear very many bad things thrown at the TV show because it looks amazing. Seriously, the animation for this is amazing. I mean, for God's sake, just look at it. And it's even funnier because the most viewed video on my channel is an AMV of this cartoon. And I can't even believe I'm about to say this. It has 59,000 views. How did that happen? I recently looked at my channel after, like, I think a month or two. I never really pay attention to my view count because I don't think it matters much. And plus, I'm also used to my videos getting, like, 50 views, and that's about it. But I went and looked at my most popular videos, and Jesus Christ! How did a video I made almost get 60,000 views? That is crazy. I don't know how that happened, but I would not ask for a better video to have that many views. And I think my second best video is like my unused content for Nicktoons Unite, but that's off topic. But that video, so many people commented on it saying how much they loved the editing of it, and I really liked that people appreciated that video, because not only did I enjoy people liking my editing, but so many people bothered to watch a video about a Skylanders cartoon spin-off. That was interesting to me, because I didn't think that many people would ever pay attention to a video about that. And that was incredible. Now, what are my thoughts on the cartoon itself besides me talking about how much I love it? The animation is gorgeous. The story, interesting as frick. Baby Spyro! Like, seriously, when I watched the first episode and saw Baby Spyro, that basically said everything I needed to hear. Because, oh god, it was the cutest thing ever. But the story was interesting. The only thing I wasn't a huge fan of is at the beginning of the series, they basically painted Spyro as basically Sonic the Hedgehog, but cockier. And I didn't even realize until later that he was probably modeled more after his classic self, because classic Spyro was kinda like that, but not really. So I think, but I saw later that they did that on purpose so that he could, you know, grow as a character throughout the series, and oh man, he did. So I kind of disregarded that as not even worth being a criticism anymore. But the characters are interesting. Like, they show a bunch of Skylander cameos throughout the thing, and they have like Eruptor and Stealth Elf and Jetvac being main characters, which I thought was odd that they included Jetvac, because, and I could be wrong about this, because at the time I'm pretty sure this was only a rumor, but I think before the cartoon was created, they held a poll asking people what their favorite Skylanders were, and those would be the Skylanders that they would use the most in the show. How did Jetvac win? Because every single time I heard people talk about Jetvac, they would only talk about how much he sucked in the game because he couldn't do, like, anything. So why did Jetvac get so popular? The only thing I can guess is it was like the Smash ballot where people think it was rigged. But, it doesn't really matter to me anyway, because I kind of thought his character was fun anyway, because he's like the mature one who's trying to keep order, and I kind of thought that was fitting for him. But it was, the show is so good, and I just couldn't get over how awesome it was, and I was so hyped to see the second season, and then they canceled it after season 3. Or was it season 2? I've lost track of how many seasons there were. I think there were 2 seasons. I'm sorry, I'm dumb. But yeah, that's something I will never let go, is the fact that Netflix canceled it, and we'll never get to actually see what the frickin' show led up to for 2 seasons. Or 3 seasons, like I said, 2 or 3, I'm just gonna say it right now so that I'm technically not wrong. But the show is fantastic. And I thought that was basically the best thing Skylanders could have done. Now, there's There's one thing about it, though, that I don't hate it, and I don't really dislike it anyway, but it made me extremely uncomfortable. And that is what they did with Cinder's backstory. Now, I was confused as to why they decided to change it again, because they already changed it from the beginning of Skylanders only slightly, but they still changed it. And I don't know why they changed it again. For those of you who haven't seen the show, I'm going to kind of give a spoiler warning here because it's technically a spoiler. In Season 2, you encounter Cinder. And most of the season is kind of based around her and her character development, or at least a couple of the episodes are. Cinder is revealed to be Malefor's daughter. Oh god. Now, basically what leads up to this, Cinder tries to become a Skylander. Spyro, while on a mission with her, basically says something stupid, saying how someone who's evil can never be good, and things are just black and white like that. This causes her to freak out, throw a temper tantrum, and basically run away. They find out later that she tried to join the Skylanders because she, as Malefor's daughter, I can't believe I'm saying that, basically didn't want to be the evil ruler of her home like her father was telling her she had to be, so she ran away to try and become a good guy, and what Spyro said really hurt her. Now, the reason why this bothers me, and I'm not alone on this, I have asked people if this bothered them too, and I'm not alone, is because if you don't know the story of the Legend of Spyro trilogy, it wouldn't bother you, because you don't know why it would bother somebody else, and somebody is crashing on the upper floor. But the reason why it bothered me and a lot of other people who loved the Legend of Spyro trilogy, in the Legend of Spyro trilogy, Cinder was basically his puppet. She was kidnapped as an unborn dragon in an egg, and basically hatched and corrupted into a warped adult version of herself to basically be mindless and do nothing but the Dark Master's bidding, who is Malefor. Spyro frees her, and she spends the rest of the trilogy basically trying to fight against what she's done and who she was. And Malefor she's basically in like an almost more like an abusive relationship with Malefor more than being family. At least that's how I always interpreted it. But, so, like, can you imagine why going from that to being his daughter is extremely uncomfortable? Because she suffered so much at the hands of him in the Legend of Spyro trilogy that him being her father makes it so much worse. Because, like, it was one thing when they weren't related, but her being his daughter, after knowing what she had gone through in the trilogy, was so uncomfortable to hear that keep in mind, I was watching this part with my siblings for the first time in our living room, and when they revealed that bombshell, I actually had to pause it, and I just put my head in my hands and was like, oh my god, they did not. And then I had to explain to my siblings why I was so freaked out by this. Why did they do that? Seriously, why didn't they just have, like, it would have been so much cooler if they had just shown her backstory in the events of the show. Like, Cinder starts destroying crap, like in her backstory that they originally used for Skylanders, and Spyro basically brings her back from the brink. That would have made so much more sense and would have been so much more interesting. And honestly, it would have also been a lot more interesting if they revealed Malefor to be Spyro's father, because could you imagine? That would have been terrifying. But other than that, I love Skylanders. And the series, no matter where Spyro goes next, and to be honest, considering they just announced a new Crash Bandicoot game, I'm sure they're going to announce a new classic Spyro game, like, any day now, probably. Or possibly before the end of the year. I don't care where it goes, honestly. Because I think no matter where it goes, it will probably not go the same route as Skylanders ever again. But Skylanders is not worth writing off. I love it, and I think a lot more people should give the games a try. Don't play Superchargers or Imaginators, though, because you will hate it. But if you want my opinion on what game you should play Swap Force. You don't have to buy all the Skylanders, just play through the game and enjoy it. You can usually get the Skylanders games really freaking cheap secondhand nowadays, and if you need the portals for it, you can probably just get them off eBay. But, seriously, I will defend Skylanders till the end of the universe, because I gave it a chance, and I found that, as the old saying goes, you should never judge a book by its cover.